This morning we're going to be in the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes. The word Ecclesiastes means the preacher or the teacher. This book was written by Solomon. And on last week we began studying a series called The Plan for True Peace. The Plan for True Peace. And we're going to continue that today. And Lord willing, on next Sunday we're going to finish this series. And then in August we'll go into something different. So I encourage all of you, if you can, come back on next Sunday and hear the final part, the third part of this series. The book of Ecclesiastes is a dark study on a life lived apart from God. The writer Solomon looks back over his life as he sees many years that was wasted trying to find peace, trying to find joy, but he couldn't find it. His search for happiness in material things fails. It fails, and ultimately he describes it as being vanity. His search for happiness in material things is best described as a chasing after the wind. A chasing after the wind. Notice what it says now in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, and we're going to look at verse number 14. It says, I have seen all the works that are done under the sun. When it says under the sun, it just means in the world. And behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit. He said he sees all the work that's been done in the world, all the things that he's tried to reach out and do. And by the end of Solomon's life, he had learned so many lessons in life, so many principles. But unfortunately, Solomon, of course, he was the wisest man that ever lived outside of Jesus. But he had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. And what I have found out is studying the mistakes that somebody else made, studying the mistakes where somebody else messed up, and studying the mistakes that ruined somebody else's life. By studying those mistakes, it can help preserve our life. It can help us not fall into the same mistakes that they made, the same traps that they fell into. And so what we're going to do is just look at some of the mistakes that Solomon made. Because by learning the true plan of how to have peace, and Solomon tells us at the very end of the book of Ecclesiastes, as he's an older man, he lived to be about 80, and as he's an older man and he's looking back over his life after trying so many different things to try to find peace, try to find happiness, try to find a purpose and meaning for life. After looking back and seeing so many places where he messed up, he tells us at the end of this book the true plan of how to have peace. And it's so awesome. By learning the true plan of how to have peace, we find contentment. By learning the true plan of how to have peace, we find real joy. By learning the true plan of how to have peace, we find purpose and meaning for our life. Solomon, after making many mistakes, discovers the true plan of how to have peace in this life, and then he unveils that secret so that we can understand and not have to go down so many of the same roads that he went down. Solomon's biggest mistake, his biggest mistake that he made in his life, is that he searched for peace in material things. The book of Ecclesiastes reveals the depression that comes from seeking peace in material things. Solomon was so rich and powerful. He was, in his kingdom, he was one of the richest people in the whole world. He was one of the most powerful people, one of the most influential people in all the world. He had access to literally everything money could buy. There's not anything that he wanted that he couldn't reach out and get. There was no price too high for him to pay. There was nothing too far away that he couldn't send a ship to get it. he could have literally anything he wanted. And he took advantage of that, and he tried, literally, the way he explains it, everything under the sun. And so he looked for so many different things to try to find peace and contentment. And he looked for new scientific discoveries. That's one of the things that we saw on last week, is he tried to figure out new scientific discoveries, some great invention, some new thing that would change people's lives forever. And he thought if he could just come up with that one new thing, that one thing that would change everybody's life, I'll be remembered forever. And then he got to thinking, well, you know, there's so many scientists that lived before me, and they invented great things, awesome things. And now they're just taken for granted. Nobody really even thinks about the great things that they came up with. And nature has a tendency to circle itself and do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And he said, if I come up with the greatest invention that's ever been invented, just a few years later, they're going to forget about me, and they're going to be looking for that next great thing. And it's just going to be an ongoing process. And he said, so realizing this, to me, is just vanity. There's no real peace in that, because people always want something new. And as soon as somebody else comes up with something a little bit newer, a little bit better, a little bit faster, a little bit nicer, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, a little bit better, then they forget that great thing that the last person invented. So then he begins to look for fulfillment in wisdom and philosophy. Of course, he prayed for wisdom, and God gave it to him. He was the wisest man that ever lived outside of Jesus. And he said in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse number 18, for in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge also increases sorrow. So he searched for wisdom and tried to get the most smartest, wisest philosophers on the face of the earth and get their counsel and get their wisdom and try to get the deeper meanings of life and try to just become as humanly smart as a person could possibly become. And what he found out was no matter how much wisdom you attain, no matter how smart you get, no matter what philosophers you learn from, the more you learn, the more you realize how messed up this place really is.
Amen.
Amen.
And you can't fix it
That's right.
because they're not going to listen.
Amen.
Great knowledge reveals the depravity of this world, and it produces great sorrow, not the peace that he was looking to get. So Solomon begins looking for something else, and he looks to amusement, laughter, entertainment, partying, having a great time. With unlimited money, unlimited resources, he decided, I'm going to find some peace. I'm going to find it through just laughing and dancing and partying and just having myself a heyday every single day. And so he bought the best entertainers that this world ever produced, the best shows that money could buy, the best comedians that could tell jokes. I'm talking about the wisest and smartest entertainers in all the world, people that spent days and years producing shows so that they could come and make him laugh and make him smile and make him dance and have a big time. We find this in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. It says, I said in my heart, go to now, I will prove thee with myrrh. Myrrh just means entertainment. Therefore, enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also is vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of myrrh, entertainment, what doeth it after he saw the best entertainment that money could buy, after he saw the best pleasure that the world could possibly offer, it did not give him the peace, the meaning, the purpose, the longevity, the meaning in life that he was looking for. It left him at the end of the day empty, broken, just wanting more, 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 and never finding the true peace that he was looking for. So then he has another idea. That didn't work. So I'm going to look for peace. I'm going to look for fulfillment. I'm going to look for happiness by planting vineyards and making some of the sweetest homemade wine that money can buy. And I'm just going to drink myself to death. And I'm just going to give myself the wine. And I'm just going to get drunk as a skunk. And surely that'll bring me peace. That's what he said. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verse 3. I sought in my heart to give myself, just give it to wine. And so he spent many days drinking and just getting drunk. But what he found out after drinking and 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 drinking, some of the best wine that you could get, not as good as the wine, of course, that Jesus made,
Amen.
but good wine. I mean, the best that they could possibly make. And after drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking, all he got was bad hangovers, bad headaches, doing stupid stuff that he'd have to come back and say he was sorry for. And he found that peace is not found in the bottom of a whiskey bottle.
Amen.
Amen. Now he gave it a shot now. Shots. Many shots. And it didn't work. So he said, well, that didn't work. So I'm going to try to find peace, fulfillment. I'm going to try to look for it in something else. I tell you what, I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to try to find some peace in architecture. I'm talking about the most beautiful architecture that money can buy. We're going to bring in architects from all over the world. The best designers of homes you've ever saw. Magnificent houses. We're going to bring in landscape architects from all over the world. We're going to make the most beautiful gardens, the most beautiful pools, the most beautiful houses, the most beautiful subdivisions. I'm talking multi-million-dollar houses. We're going to design them. They're going to be amazing. And they're going to be beautiful. It's going to be like the Garden of Eden. It's going to be like heaven on earth. And, you know, we're going to make it first class, man. People are going to come from all over the world to see these houses that I've designed and these gardens and orchards that I've planted, hundreds of thousands of acres. He was the king of Israel. He's the richest man in the world. He could have anything that money could buy. There's no piece of gold that he couldn't afford. There was no piece of cedar to go on the wall that he couldn't buy. They had the best trees, the best of everything. And man, he'd done it and he made it just amazing. Just awesome. It's pretty cool. Notice what it says now in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. I made me great works. And don't underestimate that word great. They was really great. And I built me houses, nice houses, the best houses. And I planted vineyards, the best vineyards. I made gardens and orchards and planted trees in them of all kinds of fruits. Everything you could possibly get your hands on that would grow in his day, he had it. The best of the best with unlimited resources. And then after he had all that built, he sat back and he looked over everything that he had made and everything that he had made by the hundreds and hundreds of employees that he had out there working, making this stuff. Highly, highly skilled labor. Highly skilled. The best laborers, the best trim carpenters, the best painters, the best landscape architects, the best framers, the best roofers, the best everything that money could buy. And after he had designed it all, he sat back and he looked at it. And he said in Ecclesiastes 2:18, yeah, I hate all my labor, which I have taken under the sun. Because all I'm going to do is leave it for somebody else. And he said, man, it's nice, but I can't take none of it with me. I have done all this for somebody else. And when that thought crossed his mind, the peace that he thought that he was going to get left him. Because then all he could think about was, I left all of this stuff for somebody else. Yeah, it's nice, but I mean, the day I take my last breath, what good is it? Something to think about, isn't it? He said, well, I can't take it with me. Can't take any of it with me. Got another idea. Can't take any of it with me. So, man, I'm going to live it up while I'm here. I mean, I'm going to try to find peace through lust. I'm going to try to find peace through women. So he had a wife. He said, maybe I'll just take another wife. He had 2 wives. And he said, man, that grass sure is greener on the other side. Maybe I'll take 3 wives. Maybe I'll take 10 wives. Maybe I'll take 100 wives. So he took 100 wives. And then he said, man, these 100 wives are amazing, but what about her? Take her too. 101 wives. On and on and on and on until he had 1,000 wives. 1,000 women. And after he had 1,000 wives, I guess he realized the only thing that's going to make me happy is get 1,000 more. The only thing that'll satisfy me is 1,000 more of them. And then it dawned on me. I will not find peace, though I find 1,000,000 wives. And he summed it up with this. Ecclesiastes 1:8. This is a powerful verse. I challenge you to make this one of your memory verses. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. Here's the key. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing.
Amen.
You cannot fill it up. You cannot fill your eyes up. You cannot fill your ears up. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. He tried. And he said, vanity. So he tried something else. I'm going to give you this last one and we're going to be done. He tried something else. He said, man, I've tried everything. I've tried alcohol. I've tried architecture. I've tried women. I've tried laughter. I've tried entertainment. I've tried it all. Man, I've tried everything. But I'm going to try the most powerful thing in the world. Money. Money. He said nothing else could do it. But I know one thing that will. Good old cash. He said, surely, if I can get more money, I'm talking about so much money that I'll never spend it. So much money that my kids will never spend it. So much money I couldn't spend it in 1,000 lifetimes. I'm talking about tons of cash. Surely that will bring me the peace that I've looked for and everything. So he goes out and he sends people all over the world to bring the finest diamonds, the finest gold, the finest silver, the finest jewels, rings worth thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. He saves it all up. He stores it all up. He gets tons and tons and tons and tons of money and equity and saving. And I guess he finds out at the end that the love of money is the root of all evil.
Amen. That's right.
Here's the fact. You cannot serve God and money. Now you got to have money. Money's not the problem. It's the love of it. The love of money. Nothing wrong with having money. Nothing wrong with being a millionaire. Nothing wrong with having money. The problem is when money has you. When money has you and you don't have the money, then it's a problem. Anything you put before God is your God.
That's right.
So after getting all that money, it didn't help him. And now Solomon is an old man. He's been a king for 40 years. He saw everything. Literally. There's nothing he hasn't done. There's nothing he hasn't saw. There's nowhere that he hasn't been. He's talked to the rich and famous. He's mixed and mingled with everybody. He saw everything. He's tried everything. Even 1,000 wives. He's tried everything. Literally, this man has tried everything. Now he's an old man. He's at the end of his life. He's about to die. And he's looking back over his life. And he said, I'm going to leave one piece of advice for all the people that's coming after me for them to grasp. And if they can grasp this one piece of advice, they won't have to try all this stuff that I've tried to find peace. They can just do this one thing and not try all these other things. It's great advice. And this is what Solomon said at the end of his life in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. After trying everything, this is what he says. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. He said after trying everything, he said, I have found out that the only thing that will bring peace in this life is putting God first.
Amen.
Putting God first. Trying your best to live for the Lord. Amen.